about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So for those of you who are nurses out there, God bless you. You are probably the most underappreciated, underpaid employees out there, individuals out there. And many of my nurse friends say, they love what they do. But they don't hear a lot of people say, look, I really want to be a nurse, let alone somebody faking being a nurse. Well, a Florida woman has been arrested after allegedly posing as a nurse. She treated more than 4,000 patients with a stolen license. Autumn Bardisa, 29 years old, allegedly provided care to 4,486 patients from June 2024 to this January, while never holding a valid nursing license. She is facing 7 counts of practicing as a healthcare professional without a license, 7 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification information. Now, you could impersonate so many different employees, but why would you want to impersonate an underpaid, overworked nurse? The sheriff's office said that she worked at Advent Health Palm Coast Parkway Hospital for nearly 2 years. A colleague discovered that she was not licensed to work as a nurse after she got a promotion earlier this year. In her time at the hospital, she participated in medical services for almost 4,500 patients. And she was hired by Advent Health on July 3rd, 2023 as an advanced nurse tech. Now, advanced nurse techs still work under the direct supervision of an RN. She allegedly claimed she was an Education First registered nurse, which meant she had passed the required schooling to become a registered nurse, but never passed the national exam for her license. During the hiring process, Bardisa, according to NBC News, told the hospital she had passed the exam, provided a license number that matched her first name, Autumn, but with a different last name. She tried to explain the discrepancy, allegedly, by claiming she recently got married and had a new last name. The hospital asked her to provide her marriage license as proof, but she never did. The name and license number she provided, however, belonged to another nurse named Autumn. And this was a nurse who Advent Health employed at a different hospital. She just goes on her merry way and continues to work at the hospital without anybody going back saying, wait a second, did you submit the paperwork we needed and the verification? And this went on for months. She then gets promoted. Her colleagues are like, what? So a fellow employee, busybody, usually we don't like these, people going into your business, but luckily this was a good move. I'm glad this person was a busybody. Fellow employee checked the status of her license at the time and found she had an expired certified nursing assistant license. The employee then reported this to administrators. Advent Health opened an investigation to the claim, found she never provided her marriage license to confirm her identity, and then ended up getting terminated this January. Now the police are ordering a criminal investigation. So where did she come up with, you don't want somebody stealing your identity. Can you imagine somebody being Dr. Daliah? I had a nurse who did pretend to be Dr. Daliah. Her hair was all messy. She had blonde hair, and she stole our flu shots and said she was holding a Dr. Daliah flu shot clinic in a part of town and to pay for the flu shots. We called the police right away when we found out. When we did call the police, they go, we already caught her. And we know it's not you. I was like, thank God. But impersonations can happen. Apparently, the other Autumn went to her same college, had never knew her identity was stolen. They didn't personally know each other. She ends up getting a warrant, and on August 5th, she was arrested in her home. This is a really disturbing case of medical fraud. She's being held on $70,000 bond. Not sure if she has an attorney arraignment set for September 2nd, but wow. It's interesting because before the days of licensure and ensuring professionalism, it was just the Wild West in medical scenarios, where somebody who was really, really good at delivering babies would end up being the village-appointed midwife. Somebody who had some luck getting people to feel better would then be the village-appointed healer. And there was a need for there to be, over the centuries, actual professional, educated individuals, because people were dying. Some people might have worked well with placebo or luck of the draw got better, but there was this need. And one of the reasons why we have that need is because we don't want somebody trusting somebody else and then getting the wrong care. And an issue I am seeing is people are using ChatGPT, Google, and they're saying, I could do what a doctor does. I could do what a nurse does. You can't. As much as I think the internet teaches us things, there's a process you go through, and an in-person process to make sure you can handle blood, to make sure you know how to insert IVs and NG tubes and catheters, for you to understand if somebody is lying and not giving you the full history. The training that we go through in the medical professions is far more in-depth than you could get from reading the internet. Now, a lot of people say, oh, sore throat, fever, all right, it's strep. Is it? Maybe it's Coxsackie virus. Maybe it's COVID. Maybe it's mono. Maybe your sore throat is from cancer and you have a fever because part of the cancer tumor is getting infected. You just can't, think that, anybody could be. Look, we all have the opportunity to be astronauts, but you still have to go through the training. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So World Athletics President Sebastian Coe has recently announced a new rule for women athletes. They are going to be required to have mandatory genetic tests to verify their biological sex. According to The Conversation, the test must be done if athletes wish to compete in September's World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. World Athletics said all athletes competing as women must have an SRY gene test to identify whether a male Y chromosome is present. As the SRY gene is found on the Y chromosome, it is effectively a proxy for the Y chromosome. They say any athlete whose test shows the presence of the SRY gene will be banned from competing in the women's category in elite events. They say, however, if the athlete has a condition called complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, this may allow them to qualify for an exemption. So this is interesting. This is, as you know, our embryos, we have chromosomes XX, XY. At the 6-week mark, the SRY gene on the Y chromosome triggers a cascade of events that then starts those of us who are male, to start going down the male genetic changes. If not, our default is female. And then as testes are produced, testosterone starts to play a role. If an embryo is XX chromosomes, then ovaries form, and then estrogen, as well as other hormones, are produced as well. And so one concern that people are having, one is the transgender controversy of somebody being biologically male, deciding to transition, identifying now as a female, entering women's sports. And we're starting to see with the Olympics and NCAA, and we're starting to see, more of a consensus that it's not fair for female athletes to compete against a biological male. Some males might not be transitioning in good faith, might be doing it because they are not excelling in male athletics and so want to compete in the female side of things, because boy, are the rewards great for those who win, especially if they could supersede overnight all of their competitors just by entering as a different sex. So I think there's a general consensus that it's not fair for women in sports to compete against biological males. But the issue that is brewing that I don't think sports knows how to address are the intersex individuals. You keep hearing, why I'll go to sports books and somebody will be watching the WNBA, or they'll be watching, I don't know, runners or whatever, and say, that's not a woman, that's a dude. That's a dude. And you're like, no, it's a woman. No. But these individuals that people keep calling out saying, but they don't look female. They're male. What might happen is, one, not all of us look very feminine, but there is a certain percentage of the population, anywhere from 1% to 2%, who might be intersex. And one thing that could turn athletics on its butt, just completely flip things around, is once these athletic bodies decide that everybody needs testing. Now, the average intersex individual should be made aware that they were intersex. And by intersex, it's the term that has replaced hermaphrodite, where they were born with both male and female body parts. They might be XY, but still have female genitalia. Or they might be XX and have male genitalia, or they may. And so since it's easier to raise these individuals as a female, most of them are raised as females. They will not be able to reproduce. They'll be infertile. And if they do have testicles within their abdominal cavity, those are removed so they never turn cancerous. And so these individuals will be raised as female. They might even get hormones, etc. And they were given a rough hand in nature, not being able to have babies, etc. But their gift is they might be very athletically inclined. And so what helps many of them in terms of their confidence, in terms of getting through life, is excelling in something they're good at. So a question many of us doctors have is you start to screen many of these individuals and it starts to go into many of these other fields where there's female athletes. How many of them are going to be outed in terms of them having been intersex? Now, one of my listeners says if they're intersex, they need to be out. They're male. Biologically, it's not fair to females. But I'm a little mixed because if they were raised as female since birth, and their curse is they're infertile and may have higher cancer risk, but their blessing is they may have more athleticism, I think they should still be allowed to pursue sports. Where I draw the line is somebody who is biological male and decides to transition for gain and then get into women's sports to win or to get into a bathroom or get into a private space. But if somebody was always raised since birth as a female, do they have a right to still use their athletic abilities? And so I'm just kind of torn. I do think that I think we have seen time and time again. I forget who it was. I was watching it was years ago. I was watching it wasn't the Olympics, but it was some track and field event. And the person was running on the female side and was just meters ahead of everybody else. And you wonder now, is that one of the fastest women in the world, or is it somebody who possibly, and then I saw them slow down a little bit so that it didn't look so obvious. But in women's sports, women need to feel like they are competing against other women. If you are the fastest woman in the world, you want to be biologically female for that. But intersex individuals, some of them might not even know. And so how do you handle that? How do you give them privacy? So one thing that was crucial is when we did have a baby that was born hermaphrodite at the time and now called intersex, their records are private with HIPAA. The parents should have conversations with that child once the child's old enough to understand. But it is a very private medical condition. How does this work if in sports you take a test and they say, sorry, you're XY? I know some of you are like, Daliah, you really have a deep voice. I do have a deep voice. I know I'm XX because I was able to have babies, so I'm good. But if somebody said, Daliah, you're XY, I wouldn't mind. I'm happy in my marriage. My husband loves me. But if the whole public knew because I was in sports, that could be embarrassing for many. So before we genetically screen everybody, I understand we want to make sure there's not somebody who is taking advantage of the system. And biological men should not compete in female sports who are now identified as female. But what do you do with the intersex population? There's been some movie stars, I'm not going to name who have been alleged. And I met a nurse of one of them who was there when this star was born. Say they're intersex. The female form they chose is beautiful. I don't know much about their athletic ability. I know they weren't able to have children on their own. They adopted. But they do have a right to a happy life. So there has to be a way where if we do feel that somebody is taking advantage, they're out. If somebody does test and we find that a good amount of let's say players are XY, because so the level, when you're looking at the prevalence of intersex in the world, it could be anywhere from 0.25 to 2%. Yet in athletes, they believe that there is about 140 times more incidence, because obviously they were able to excel in something. And World Athletics believes that intersex account for 7.1 out of every 1,000 elite female athletes. So it's definitely a conversation we need to have and find out how to address it, allowing the dignity and the privacy that these intersex athletes deserve. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs took effect today, just after midnight, affecting a whole bunch of different products. And I know some people have disagreed with it. I think it's a good idea. Sorry, I'm tired of us being screwed. Now, I know the world wants to make it look like all of a sudden we're charging. But if we've been charged and we've been pooped on this whole time, why not fight back? And why not bring companies to America? Why not have them invest more in America? Why is everything we buy made in China or India or Mexico? Why don't we have more independence? Well, we're being told that Apple is now increasing the U.S. commitment to $600 billion and announces American manufacturing program, which means our iPhones might now be America made. Apple, in their newsroom, is reporting a new $100 billion commitment to America, a significant acceleration of its U.S. investment that now totals $600 billion in the next 4 years. They say today's announcement includes the ambitious new American manufacturing program, AMP, dedicated to bringing even more of Apple's supply chain and advanced manufacturing to the U.S. Through AMP, Apple will increase its investment across America and incentivize global companies to manufacture even more critical components in the United States. Amen. They say today we're proud to increase our investments across the United States to $600 billion over 4 years and launch our new American manufacturing program. That's according to Apple CEO Tim Cook. They say this includes new and expanded work with 10 companies across America. They produce components that are used in Apple products sold all over the world, and we're grateful to the president for his support. They say Apple parts and components manufactured in the U.S. shipped to customers around the world, and roughly 2/3 of the components made in the U.S. are exported to customers outside the U.S. So they are partnering with thousands of suppliers across all 50 states, supporting more than 450,000 supplier and partner jobs in the next 4 years. Apple will directly hire 20,000 people in the United States. They are going to focus on R&D, silicon engineering, software development, AI, and machine learning. We are going to see significant expansions in Arizona, California, Iowa, Kentucky, Nevada, New York, North Carolina, Oregon, Texas, and Utah. This is exactly what Trump wanted and what I think America needed. In fact, In July, Apple committed to buying American-made rare earth magnets developed by MP Materials, the only fully integrated rare earth producer in the United States, significantly expanding their flagship Independence facility in Fort Worth, Texas. They say these magnets will become part of Apple's devices shipped around the world. Two companies will also establish a cutting-edge rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. This is what we want. We want America. We're one of the most amazing countries in the galaxy. Why can't we have companies utilize us and utilize what we have here? Why do they have to go overseas? Because it's cheaper? Well, Trump is changing that. It's not going to be cheaper. Because if you are going overseas to try to make things cheaper and with less scrutiny and then try to sell them in America, it's going to cost you more. You have to make it here. Apple's also going to expand their end-to-end American silicon supply chain, they say. Apple is leading the creation of an end-to-end silicon supply chain in the United States with partners in every key aspect of silicon production. They want to produce more than 19 billion chips for Apple products in 2025, including TSMC in Arizona, which is producing tens of millions of chips for Apple using one of the most advanced processes. I am really excited about this, and I think we are moving definitely in the right direction. We want these companies to move to America. For years, they have left America because it was cheaper to be in other countries, and I get it. You know, they're using cheap labor. But you know, my issue is these Apple products are expensive. You're telling me we're not paying American prices? We're jacked up prices? We are. So when somebody says, look, you're buying a $5 shirt because it's made in China, are our Apple products $5? Are our Apple products that much cheaper? No. We're already spending more. The company knows what an American is going to spend. They're spending thousands of dollars for the phone. And if you tell me, well, they're just going to make the price more expensive to counter tariffs, then people are going to stop buying them. I'm not going to upgrade my phones. I'm not going to. No, it's too much money. It's ridiculous. I'm getting screwed over. So Americans are already spending more money than they need to. Yes, these countries might try to charge us more to offset the tariff fees, but then Americans will have to stand up and choose something that is cheaper and to get the cost to come down. Capitalism works. We need to use it in our favor, and we need to bring companies to the U.S. Now, also making headlines is former Superman actor and Lois and Clark TV actor Dean Cain, who lives in Southern Nevada, is now joining ICE. He has told Fox News that he is joining the ranks of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. He supports United States President Donald Trump and the immigration crackdown. Now, he, in an interview on Fox News, said he decided to join the agency after sharing one of ICE's recruitment videos on social media the day before. He said, I'm actually a sworn deputy sheriff and a reserve police officer. I wasn't part of ICE, but once I put that recruitment video out there and you put a little blurb on your show, it went crazy. So now I've spoken with some officials over at ICE, and I will be sworn in as an ICE agent ASAP. Now, we know he's been a conservative. Sadly, many conservatives don't go far in Hollywood. He did really, really well in the 90s. And he had a tough act to follow. To be the Superman following Christopher Reeves, that's not easy. Now, but he did a good job. He's a good actor. But he says this country was built on patriots stepping up, whether it was popular or not, and doing the right thing. I truly believe this is the right thing. He describes the U.S. immigration system as broken. He says Congress needs to fix it, but the interim President Trump ran on this. He is delivering on this. He says this is what people voted for. It's what I voted for, and he's going to see it through, and I'll do my part to help him make sure it happens. So, there's we're looking at midterms, and we're looking at where the GOP is going and where the Democrats are going. And I think one thing that bipartisanly and where there's a lot of popularity is getting criminals out of the United States. A lot of them came in with innocent individuals, wolves in sheep's clothing, and we all agree, no, that was wrong. The Biden border was a mess. They need to be out. As it pertains to people crossing illegally, that gets a little trickier. When you have individuals who do the process correctly, they should get, well, in front of the line. But people are taking cuts. Or if they're sneaking in illegally, that's illegal. And America has to take a stand, or like other countries, is sneaking across the border or not following the proper immigration process or going to your hearings going to have consequences. In Canada, yes, you'll be deported. In Japan, you'll be deported. In Germany, you'll be deported. In other countries, you will be deported or go to jail. So why is America looking like a bad guy? Well, the media wants to make it sound like, well, even though they crossed the border because Biden had an open door policy, it wasn't necessarily a legal crossing. If they did not follow the proper immigration process, as all countries have, then they didn't follow the process. And if you don't follow the process, it doesn't get done. If you try to apply for Medicaid and you don't follow the process correctly, you don't get Medicaid. You know, if I don't fill out a medical school application correctly, I won't get into medical school. This isn't a new concept. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Have you ever been to Amsterdam? It's cool. I keep thinking that Venice is the city of canals, but Amsterdam is also. It's exquisite. Definitely a must-see. People there are so nice. Food is good. But apparently, cats keep dying in Amsterdam because they keep drowning. The canals, well, fill the streets, fill the areas, and if a cat is trying to walk around or on a windowsill, they fall into the water, they can't get back up. And so these narrow streets are now putting our little feline furry friends at risk. In the last 6 months, 19 cats have sadly drowned in the canal. 6 of them in the city center, according to the animal welfare organization Daliah Ambulance Amsterdam. So what Amsterdam is now doing is installing small wooden staircases along the canals so kitty cats can escape if they tumble down and can't get back up on the high walls. The city has allocated about $116,000 U.S. Conversion on the initiative. Now, I'm really amazed that they're able to do it for that inexpensively. If somebody is going to be installing stairwells, you could just see how they go, sorry, it's going to cost multiple millions of dollars. But I am sure building a stairway, I could go to Home Depot and build it myself. I'm sure they could do this very inexpensively. So about 100,000 pounds, $116,000 U.S. dollars on the initiative. And they believe this is going to help where if a kitty cat decides to be so curious that they fall into the water, meow, and then they can hopefully get up and get on the on the stairs. It's interesting. My cats will, we have a pool and a jacuzzi, and the cats don't leave an ample amount of space. They like to stick their paws when they walk along that area, where the paw's leaning over the side. And I'm like, you don't know how to swim. You're going to fall in. And I don't understand why they do that. They always do dangerous things. We have this little balcony, and they will jump on the balcony, and my cat doesn't realize she's overweight. She thinks she's going to hold firm on the balcony, and she'll fall off. And I don't understand why these cats don't think to themselves that they're not going to make it. A retaining wall, usually those are about, 6 inches long, 4 to 6 inches? So there's a little bit of stability there. But you're talking about an inch. But I like this story because I think many of us don't realize that our pets can drown. And our pets will drown when we're not home or when we're not around the pool. Sometimes it's because we forget. Now, I could teach my dog how to swim, and we do. We throw the dog in the pool, let her swim. We have steps. We show her where the steps are. And now, luckily, if she does jump in the pool, she hopefully doesn't panic and knows where to go with the steps. With your cat, oh, boy. Cat won't even let me get them near the pool. So if you do feel like you have a stupid animal like I do, I love my animals, but boy, they're stupid. You might want to consider doing something similar to what Amsterdam is doing, where they have these little safety measures or fence. I mean, cats will get through most fences, but they're like liquid. You think that they won't get under a gate or under some sort of a barrier, and they just do. It's like liquid. So definitely get that checked out. Apparently, there's a video going viral of a person putting in a little cat door, and then these other cats are now running into the house or into the apartment to escape the heat. We had that where we had a neighbor's cat into the house. My son was home. I think it was when he was in high school. And he calls me up going, Mom, we have another animal in the house. I go, what animal is it? He goes, I think it's a cat. I don't want to go near it, but it came to the doggy door. I don't know what made this cat, they're so bold, decide to come into our house. And then she was crying by the window because she wanted to go back outside, but she didn't know how. So you're smart enough to get into somebody's house, but you don't know how to get out of the house. So I went over there, and of course I took pictures. I called a gangster cat, and then I let her out, and she ran. She was all happy. But keep in mind, if you do doggy doors and kitty doors and, other animals may come in. And my cat likes to bring in other animals like snakes, mice. One of my cats brought in a bunny rabbit. And the sound the bunny rabbit made was really weird. It was a shrill, shrieking, but lower octave sound. And my husband's like, what was that? I go, that's another animal. We have another animal in the house. And it turned out that the cat brought in the bunny rabbit. Now, we took the bunny rabbit to the vet to make sure that the cat's saliva didn't hurt. The cat didn't bite it. The bunny rabbit was okay. But other animals are coming into your home. You just have to be prepared and understand that you could be at risk for rabies. You definitely want to protect your hands, glove up. These animals are not going to want you to pick them up. And if they scratch you and you don't know their rabies status, you might need to go and get preventative shots. So I'm a big fan of doggy doors and kitty doors so they could go in and out of the house and do what they need to. but understand that other animals will come in. Now, one of the biggest mysteries of life is, does your cat love you? I know my dog loves me. She'll follow me around the house. I go into the potty. I go into the shower. I go to my car. She just goes wherever I go. So I think that's love, because I know she's not hungry because I just gave her food. But the cats are different. The cats just sit there and they look at you, meow, and they'll try to talk to you. But how do you know they love you? Well, according to Bunko Pet, these are signs that your cat might love you. All right? Although I beg to differ on some of them. One is that they will blink at you when they're staring at you. Now, my cat, Shaky Boo, the one that just passed, he was almost 19, he would do that to try to get my attention. Okay, because I would look at him, but if he wanted to get my attention and try to communicate with me, he would close his eyes. I don't think that was a cat kiss. According to this site, it's a cat kiss. It's where your cat gives you a slow blink. It's their way of saying they feel safe and affectionate around you. I beg to differ. He was trying to tell me he wants to eat. Time for me to get off my butt and feed him, even though I just fed him. If they follow you from room to room, they say that's love. Again, I'm a little mixed on this because I was out of town once, and my husband said, the cats are really bonding with me. They're following me around like the Pied Piper. I go, did you feed them earlier today or last night? Oh, okay, never mind. Let me hang up with you. You forgot to feed them. So if they're following you around, I still think it has to do with them wanting eats. Another thing they say these animals do is they will lie on their back, showing their tummy. That could be a sign of love. I look at it as they're very comfortable. This one I'll give to them, because if your cat is comfortable where they will lie in a vulnerable position, right? I accuse the cats of wanting to get pap smears done, and I'm like, this is a family establishment. Can you please put some underwear on and sit appropriately? Okay, try to be more ladylike. But when the animals lie there, supine, arms out, legs out, just lying there comfortably, that means they're comfortable, and that means they're happy. And maybe it means they love you too. When they rub up against your arms and legs, right, it could be territorial. They're trying to tell every other animal that you're theirs. But it'll also be they want eats, or they want you to get, off the couch or get away from your desk and deal with them. But it's better than them scratching at you. They know how to bite and scratch you. So if they do play nibbles, that's a sign of affection. Although one of my cats is kind of ticklish, where when you play with her, she accidentally kind of loses control, and then, she might sink her teeth in. So you got to be careful. But cats do like to play, some of them. So that's a sign that they could love you. And then when they bring you gifts, like my cat would bring me, scorpions and snakes. That is love, just not what I want. And then, of course, if they purr when you're nearby and not when they're petted, that's a good sign, too. All right, love your pets. 1-877-Doc-Daliah. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.